What's going on, guys? It's Picsoleated, and today we are looking at these chunky, chocolatey, sexual beauties that you're seeing on my feet. I've been looking forward to these since they were first exposed to the world, and that never changed. Yes, that's right, we're talking about the new Yeezy 700 Mauve. Initially enlisted as the Yeezy 700 Kiwi way back when they were first shown online, that's probably a more preferable colorway name. Regardless, I like these shoes no matter the name, so I knew I had to get them. Now, before we get into these, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Picsoleated, that's at Picsoleated for some fire sneaker content and for other photography. I'm heading out to Japan soon, so you might see some extra ultra level fire pretty soon. Pix fam, we gotta stay glued together. Now, these shoes released on Saturday, October 27, 2018. Pretty much every sneaker store you could think of released these Mauve 700s. I was able to secure my pair via the Adidas Confirmed app here in Canada. I didn't have to. I probably could have just bought them online, or I could have just walked in the store at 1 p.m, which is the cutoff time to pick them up and ask them for a size 10, and they would have had them, but I wanted to go ahead and get them early, so I thought, why not? Plus, it is super satisfying winning that little Adidas app game to secure a reservation for a Yeezy shoe. Hashtag winning. I couldn't tell you what the inspiration behind these shoes was or anything like that. Kanye ain't out here giving interviews on what inspires his shoe designs and colorways. We're going in blind on this, so yeah, I can't share any of that with you guys, but I can say that it is easily one of my favorite colorway of any shoes I've seen as of late. If you've been following me for a while, you know I love chocolatey colorways. I own the Yeezy 750 chocolates and the Mauve Element React 87s, and now the Mauve 700s. Would you look at that? Both of these just happen to be named Mauve too. Coincidence? I think maybe, but also maybe not. It seems I've got myself a little bit of a chocolate fetish collection going. Chocolate fetish gang, where you at? Okay, back to the shoes. The release of the shoe has been a little confusing for many. As we all know, pretty much every Yeezy before this has released and sold out within a matter of seconds or hours if we're counting slow Adidas website queues, which would be minutes or seconds if they didn't put people through queues, which to their merit is an amazing feat. Kanye took Adidas to another level when you start to see Adidas sneakers sell out almost immediately, but everything changed with this release. I want to preface this by saying the Mauve 700s are still a hot colorway and had plenty of demand before release. I still love them. They're still my favorite 700 colorway so far. Yes, they might just trump the OG Wave Runner colorway. Every time I walk by them in the house, I'm just marveling at how nice they look. I'm sure they still sold tons of pairs, so this is still kind of a win for Adidas for the most part in my books, but this was the first time a big ticket release, a Yeezy release no less, didn't sell out immediately. And on top of that, plenty of pairs and sizes sat for days after the release, to the point that Adidas.ca, yes, Adidas Canada's official site, the site known for getting like 7 pairs of any limited release, kidding, of course, they get like 1,000 nowadays versus 20,000 in the US and UK, for example. The Adidas Canadian site had 4,000 pairs of Mauve 700s just sitting. This doesn't look good for Adidas. Most companies, when they try to drop a limited release like this, you'd assume they calculate demand or at least have a good idea of it and release the correct amount of supply to satisfy that demand, or just a little below so the demand still keeps going. Regardless of hype, that's just economics. That's how you make sure your bottom line is met, and truthfully, I can't be 100% certain why this particular release happened the way it did, but I can tell you why I think it happened. And there are multiple possibilities and reasons as to why the Yeezy Mauve 700 didn't sell out, so let's get into them. Number 1, Adidas thought resellers would eat all the pairs up. Now, the one thing that's constant about these limited releases is that people buy the shoes for different reasons. Many buy them to rock, but several also buy them to resell. What we've seen with a lot of resellers is, though, that sometimes they'll buy shoes that end up not reselling just because they're limited. They'll get a whiff of that limited stock quantity, cool branding, and they'll take the plunge, they'll take the risk. Maybe Adidas noticed this and thought they could release an insane amount and resellers will just buy out and eat up as much stock as they possibly could. This is just a guess on my part and probably my most out there hypothesis, so keep that in mind. Number 2, Kanye was serious when he said he wanted to democratize Yeezys, another fancy way of saying make more pairs. A couple years ago, Kanye said, for everyone who wants Yeezys, you will get them, just be patient. Maybe this was it. He was being serious, and now they're available for everyone to buy, to the point that even the people that don't want them are able to buy them, even days after release. Number 3, they were trying to beef up their Q4 numbers. Now, a lot of companies do this where they try to sell as much product in the last quarter of the fiscal year to beef up their numbers and earning reports to make shareholders happy. Maybe this was a move to get as many sales as they possibly could. This might have given them a spike in revenue. Now, I studied finance in university, but I'm not entirely sure how much they factor in cost, because if they have to factor in the cost of all the pairs unsold as well, that might negate the positive effects of releasing so much quantity. But if not, this definitely helped them look better. I mean, they definitely must have known that the quantity was super high because a lot of places were instilling a no refund policy, like you couldn't return the shoes. Even Adidas's flagship store, the one that I got my pair from, told me that there were no refunds for the shoe, which I've never had happen. So there's definitely something different going on here. Anyways, number 4, the price is just way too high for this shoe to produce the quantity that they did. When you price a shoe at 400 Canadian dollars or 300 US dollars, there is absolutely no way you're selling out of tens of thousands of pairs worldwide. You're just making the shoe ultimately unaffordable or just unreasonable to purchase for the majority of the world. Even now, majority of the people in this world only need like a handful of shoes for most of your needs year round. Not a single one of those people is going to change their minds and buy a shoe for $400 Canadian if they don't really need it, especially if they're reasonable people. But we're sneakerheads, we're not reasonable people, and either way, the shoe itself is ridiculously beautiful, and regardless of hype, I still love it. So let's get back to the shoe. Starting off with the materials, there are a ton on this guy. We have these delicious suede panels in the mauve colorway, the same color the shoe is named after. I know it looks brown to you, it does to me too, but this apparently is a really muted shade of purple. And honestly, if you look at it long enough, you can definitely see it. Then we have these suede panels that are probably brown on the toe box, and one on the back that forms the heel counter of the shoe. These are all super thick and hairy, kind of like me. No, but seriously, the quality on these is bonkers. We have these mesh underlays that make up the bottom layer of the toe box and the top of the tongue in sort of a dark violet colorway. Mesh on the side panels with hidden 3M Adidas 3 stripes underneath. The eyelet panels are made of leather and are the same color as the tongue. Then we have this hairy suede panel on the sides of the heel with 2 3M holes underneath. The laces are the same color as the tongue as well, maybe just a shade darker. My favorite part of the shoe is this chunky midsole that is all up in the same mauve colorway. The one thing I wish they changed about the shoe was adding more color to this midsole. It's all brown or dark purple or mauve or whatever the fuck this color is, but they could have added a hit of orange or different shades in those little indents on the midsole, just like how on the OG Wave Runner colorway you had black portions around the colorless midsole. That would have been cool to do on these as well, but aside from that, these still look amazing with just that one tone and just having those 2 lime hits on the heel, looking like green lasers shooting at my enemies, you know, cause I got plenty of them. And finally, my favorite part of the shoe is this gum bottom outsole. What better way to top or bottom off this beautiful chunky midsole than with a butterscotch flavored gum bottom? The gum bottom is super popular in sneaker culture when done right, and this time it was most definitely done right, and I'm all the more happier for it. When it comes to comfort, these shoes are hella comfortable, they fit great, the material is nice and soft, and the boost in the midsole, although you can't feel it as much as the Yeezy 350 V2, it still makes for an amazingly comfortable experience. As for sizing, I went with my true to size 10. For those of you that keep going half a size up in these, listen to this real carefully. I found that the toe box of these shoes fits insanely tight at first, to the point where I was concerned and wondered whether I should swap my pair for a half a size up to a size 10.5. It felt that tight, but these shoes break in. And to speed the process up, I shoved sneaker shields into the shoes, into the toe box overnight to stretch them out, and now the shoes fit like a dream. It's a night and day difference, and I'm so glad I didn't swap them for a size 10.5 because the 10.5s feel so roomy. I did that with the original Wave Runner colorway, and now I had to sell my size 10.5 Wave Runners after realizing they were too big for me, so now I gotta secure a size 10 again and stretch them out. With that being said, overall it is an amazing shoe. Obviously the only thing I can't agree with is the price of this shoe. 400 Canadian dollars, 452 after Ontario taxes is a lot to ask for, but because the asking price is so high, I'm most definitely going to be getting as much mileage out of these as I possibly can. What did you guys think about the Mauve 700s? Did you like them before and change your mind after they didn't sell out, or do you still love them? Is the price just too steep for you, or do you think Adidas is being reasonable? Let me know what you think in the comments. Catch you later. Picsoleated is covered in kiwis.